Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Mr. Sanchez coming at you with another lesson in algebra. Today we're going to be doing lesson 2-1. Oops, no, 2-1, and that's writing and solving equations. And our learning targets for today are going to be use the algebraic method to solve an equation, writing and solve an equation to model a real world situation. So the first half, we're kind of already familiar with it. We've been solving some equations, but now we're gonna add some rules. Well, not rules, but we're gonna give you the names of which properties we've been using. Okay, that's what our focus is. We're gonna start, but we're also gonna look at word problems. I know word problems. Yay! Everybody's favorite thing to do. All right. Don't be discouraged. We're gonna take it slow. We're gonna take it real simple. You're gonna see that it's not so hard. All right. So today, all I want you guys to remember first is that a solution is any value that makes an equation true when substituted for the variable. All right. And so we're going to go over a quick example of that right now. All right. So it's asking us to determine x if x equals 6 is the solution to this equation right here. All right. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to rewrite our equation, but wherever our x is, our variable, we're going to put a parentheses around it, okay? 2 plus 4, and that's our x, so we're going to leave a parentheses where our x would be, equal to 22. All right? So our x is equal to 6, right? So we're going to put this 6 right in here. And now we got to do the evaluator, right? We've done this. This is just order of operations, PEMDAS, right? So what are we going to take care of first? Parentheses. So that's these inside. What's 6 minus 1, y'all? That would be 5. And then everything else stays the same. Right? And then what's 2 times 4? What's 4 times 5? Well, that's 20. Right? And what's 22? 2 plus 20? 22, right? So because this ends up being true, we say yes, x equal to 6 is the solution to the equation. If for some reason we ended up getting like a 23, a 21 in this area, then that would mean that whatever value we got is not the solution. But basically, when you're checking if something is a solution or determining, all you're going to do is get your value for x and then plug it in, okay? Wherever the x is. Pretty straightforward, all right? Now that that's out of the way, we're going to go over this nice big problem. It says, so right now we're going to focus on this part right here, on this highlighted part. It says solve the equation 3x plus 90 plus 2x plus 3060 equals 360 use the algebraic method, showing each step list a property or provide an explanation for each step, right? So we're going to focus here. All right, so what's the first thing we do when we have a problem like this? Remember, this is a multi-step equation. So what the first thing we want to do is combine like terms, right? So our like terms here are 3x and 2x. So 3x plus 2x, that's 5x. Everything else stays the same, right? And then, so these go away. This step here was called combine like terms. So we're going to write that right here, because it says list a property or an explanation for each step. So right here we did combine like terms. That's what we did. Right? Now, our next step, we want to get rid of this 90, right? So to get rid of this plus 90, we're going to do minus 90. Whatever we do to the left, we do to the right, right? Now, the thing is, whenever we add or subtract, well, we're actually using, whenever you subtract, let's just focus on subtraction, right? This is called the subtraction property of equality. And it basically just says if you subtract on one side, you gotta subtract on the other, right? And then this is gonna go away, and so you're gonna get 5x is equal to 270, right? Now, what we want to do now is get rid of this 5 because we're multiplying, right? So to get rid of the 5, you're going to divide both sides by 5, right? This is going to go away, and we're going to get x is equal to 54, okay? This division step right here, we call that we're using the division property of equality, okay? Those are the properties we're using to be able to solve these problems. And we're going to be going over that type of stuff. And right here it says list the property. Right here it says list the property or provide an explanation for each step, right? So that's what we're doing here. Step 1 was combine like terms. Step 2 is use the subtraction property. And step 3 is division. And it's pretty straightforward for the names of the properties. If you add, then that's the addition property. If you subtract, that's the subtraction property. If you multiply, that's the multiplication property of equality. And if you divide, that's the division. All right, so it's pretty straightforward. Right now, we're gonna do another example just to get some more practice. Right, this is basically asking us to do the same thing. All right, so our goal is to get x by itself. So the first thing we gotta do is get rid of this plus 7. Right. So how do we get rid of plus 7? We're actually gonna do minus 7 to both sides. Right. That's going to go away. There's going to be x over 4 is equal to 5, right? That means right here we did the subtraction property of equality, right? The SPO. I'm not going to write the whole thing because I don't have space. The next step would be to multiply both sides by 4, right? That's going to cancel, and you're going to get x is equal to 20. This step right here is called the multiplication property of equality, right? And then that's it. It's pretty much straightforward, That's what it means to justify a step. Just say you're using the property of equality, and then whatever equation or operation you're doing, that's basically the operation name property of equality, all right? So we're going to go over to our next step, our next problem. All right, so that was using the algebraic method. Now we're going to learn how to use equality equations to solve and do our work, all right, to solve real-world situations, all right? So we're going to take a little bit of time here, but I think if you really want to pay attention here and see how we break down this problem, all right? So let's read the situation, all right? It says, Julio has $5 more than Dan, okay? So no matter how much money Dan has, we know Julio has 5 more, right? Because he's a baller that way. So yeah, if Dan has 100, Julio will have 105. Whatever Dan has. We don't know what Dan has right now, right? So now it says together, Julio and Dan have $19. All right. So whatever money Julio and Dan have together, they have $19. Okay. And now it's telling us how much more money does each person have? How much money does each person have? All right. That's our overall question. But we have 3 pieces of information, right? You know that Julio has $5 more than Dan, and we know that Julio and Dan together have $19. And our goal is to find out how much money each person has. All right. So first, what you want to do is we're gonna read the next statement here. It says here, let D represent the amount of money that Dan has. So whatever we do, Dan has D amount. All right. And it says use D to write an expression that represents the amount of money Julio has, all right? So, all right, so let's begin with this statement, right? D represents money that Dan has. So Dan, he has D dollars, right? That's how much Dan has, all right? All right, so now we're going to try and figure out how much Julio has. Remember, if you look here, if you look at our first statement, we know Julio has $5 more than Dan. So whatever he has, whatever Dan has. And to have more, remember, more means plus 5. If it said less than, you do minus 5, all right? So Julio's money is whatever Dan has plus 5. Now right here we're using D to represent whatever money Dan has, right? So Julio's money is equal to the amount of that Dan has, which is D, plus the $5 extra that Julio has on Dan. Right? And this is going to be our expression. Okay? Is there any confusion on that? All right, so if Dan has D dollars, which D can represent any number, right? It's a variable, so it represents a random number. We don't know what it is. We don't really care at this point. Okay? We do care, but right now, we don't really care because we're trying to figure out what Julio has. Right? And Julio has 5 more than Dan. So that's exactly whatever Dan has, which is D, plus 5. All right? Now, our next step says write an equation. So we're going to write an equation. So that means we're going to be an equal sign that represents the problem situation. All right. So we're trying to find out how much money they have together, right? All right. So we can go with this purple statement right here. Right here in the beginning, right here, Julio and Dan have $19. So whatever Julio has plus however money Dan has, that's equal to 19, all right? That's basically what we're trying to figure out. And then if you go back to all right, so this right here, this is like how we say it verbally. Julio and Dan, whatever they have, equals $19, right? Now, if you look here, we know that Julio, his money is D plus 5. So we're going to write that, D plus 5. And I'm writing parentheses, but you don't have to. This is Julio, right? We're going to put a little J here. Plus whatever Dan has, I'm going to put a capital D here, right? Dan has D dollars, right? So that's D. And they're going to, both together are going to have $19. And this here is going to be our equation. Yay. Pretty easy, right? When you break it down like that. All right. And so, remember, this is Julio's money plus Dan's money has to equal $19. That's basically what we're saying. All right. Now it says solve the equation. So we're going to solve this equation right here. Solve the equation. Show a state of property. All right. So basically what we've been doing. Okay. So we have this equation right here, right? We have D plus 5. We have parentheses, but we can take off the parentheses. Plus D is equal to 19. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, do you see any like terms? We have D here, D here. So what's D plus D? That's going to be 2D. Everything else is going to stay the same. That was combining like terms. And I'll write that in blue. Okay? What we did was combine like terms. Now we want to get rid of this plus 5. How do you get rid of plus 5? We're going to do minus 5 to both sides. Right? This is going to go away. So we're going to get 2D is equal to 14. Right? This was the subtraction property, right? I'm not going to write everything, but the subtraction property of equality. Right? And then our next step, we want to get rid of this 2, so we're going to divide both sides by 2. That's going to go away. And we're going to get D is equal to 7. Now, when we divide both sides, that's going to be the division property. So that's the division property of equality. All right, so that's our answer. All right, but what is D? What is D? Remember, D represents Dan's money, right? D. So we're going to interpret our solution, right? So D, since D equals 7, so that means Dan has, well, I'm gonna change color. This means Dan has $7, right? So Dan has $7. And remember, Julio has 7 plus 5, which is equal to $12. So Dan has 7, Julio has 12. Okay? And how can we check our answer? Well, we can always plug this back in, right? Remember, it says check your solution. So to check our solution, we're going to go back. Well, remember, we're going to go back to our equation right now. Right now, we're writing D equal to 7. And we're going to put parentheses wherever our D was. Then parentheses plus 5 plus parentheses equal to 19. We're going to plug in our 7 here, right? We're going to combine our like terms. 7 plus 7 is 14. And then 14 plus 5 is going to equal to 19. So we're going to get 19 is equal to 19. So it checks out, right? So we know our solution is true. Let's just interpret our solution as Dan has $7. And because Julio has $5 more than Dan, that means Julio has $12. So let me rewrite that. Dan has $7. Julio has 12. And that's basically it, guys. Now you can basically solve your problems on your homework, and they'll be posted on Schoology. All right? If you have any questions, just rewind the video. Don't be afraid to look over the information twice. And, show up to our Zoom meetings. That's how we could cover most of our information. All right, guys? Have a nice day. Bye.